Hi guys, welcome back, and this time around I'm bringing you a review which basically contains Queen of Audio and Celest. There are one or two IEMs that are not selected here for a specific reason, which I'll get into it in a second. One of them is the Relentless because it still hasn't arrived, and the other one is the Wyvern because I don't have it yet in the color that I would like to have it. Anyway, what is this that I'm talking about? Well, blue is the color of the ocean and the sky, and it often symbolizes serenity, stability, or maybe even wisdom. And in some instances it can even symbolize reliability. Just for the sake of the curiosity in the Catholic Church, the Virgin Mary is most often depicted wearing blue to symbolize being full of grace. Anyway, that I think already gives you an idea of what I'm talking about. Every single one of these IEMs here from Celest and from Queen of Audio, which are both sister companies of KINERA or under the umbrella of KINERA, are available in blue. And I think, as I just mentioned, their blue color actually goes well with what the blue color can sometimes symbolize, the reliability, the inspiration, the serenity, the stability, the wisdom. I think that blue color goes very well with each one, or each one of those adjectives that are usually associated with the blue color goes very well with each one of these IEMs that I have here. And exactly what do I have here? Well, I'm going to start here with the left hand side. I've got here the Celest Phoenixcall and the Dark Phoenix. Next to that I've got the Queen of Audio Vesper 2. Next to that the Queen of Audio Gimlet. Next to that the Celest Plutus Beast. And then finally the Celest Pandamon 2. If there is one thing that, well, let's go here by stages. First of all, in terms of build quality, exceptional. Every single one of these IEMs have a build quality that I, in my opinion, feel far surpasses what you are expecting at the price. I mean, the Phoenixcall or the Dark Phoenix with the beautiful shell, the configuration of 1+2+2, so it's got a single DD, 7mm, 2 BAs, and 2 microplanars. The beautifully executed shell, it fits stunningly well in my ears. I've got absolutely no complaints there, albeit the Dark Phoenix, which basically is the same shell, it's just the finish that is different, and this is the only one that doesn't go along the lines of that blue theme, but I had to have it here because I hadn't yet talked about it, and it made sense to take this opportunity to talk about it. The Vesper 2 1+1, again in this beautiful blue shell. I've got the orange one as well, and I have to admit that the blue one looks the business. It looks really good. The Gimlet in blue, I've got the white and the green, and now the blue. Again, beautiful execution. This is a heavy shell. Seriously, this is one heavy shell. It's got this finish which kind of is trying to emulate porcelain, but it's actually a metal shell, and this thing weighs a ton. I think if you swing this thing at somebody's head, you're gonna kill him, or at least cause a concussion. And I'm just joking. Anyway, it is unquestionably the heaviest IEM here. It's the most solidly built one. This thing is a tank. The Plutus Beast, again, it's got the blue theme on the faceplate there, as you can see. Beautifully built shell. It's a shell which is kind of reminiscent of the Phoenixcall's shell. It's got a nice deep insertion. This is a 1+1+1. The Vesper, is at 1+1. The Gimlet is a single DD LCP driver, and this one is a 1+1+1. It uses a square planar driver, DD, a BA, and a blown conduction. And then finally the Pandamon using the square planar driver as well, also in blue, and again with a beautifully executed shell. So any one of these IEMs, in terms of their build quality, top marks, nothing to be said there. Their configurations are all, let's say, different, or if they're not different, they at least use different driver technologies. And they've also got another peculiarity, which is every single one of these IEMs has got a different sound signature, and in that sound signature that I've used, it's always been done, in my opinion, flawlessly well. And be it the Phoenixcall with its kind of it's a Knowles VX type of early Pina sort of tuning that I particularly like, and I think it was very well executed in the Phoenixcall, and even slightly better in the Dark Phoenix. Be it the Vesper with its ultra neutral presentation that's got a warm bass, or be it the Gimlet, which has got a more traditional kind of tuning with a nice strong focus on the mids, or the Plutus Beast with its warmer, full old school kind of vibe, or then the Pandamon 2 with its very neutral, neutralish, bright, you could almost say, sort of signature. Every single one of them has that premise obtained very well, and the truth is, I can't sit here now and say this one is better than that. That's because it's going to be, they all have been tailored for a specific person that will prefer that style over that style. If I have to be honest, I think that they all are side grades, and let's put it this way: you can actually have this. You can actually buy all of these IEMs for less money than some IEMs in the mid-price tier, which are not going to be as satisfying. I mean, this is about $119 for the Phoenixcall. The Dark Phoenix is a little bit more, although the Dark Phoenix is only it's a limited run edition, and it's available only through Elise Audio. The Vesper is about $79. The Gimlet is $59. The Pandamon, the Plutus Beast is about 85, and the Pandamon is about $59. So 60, 140, 140, 200, 200, 200, 200, 280, 300, and about $420, $440. All of these IEMs cost $440. Well, I'm not doubling here on these ones, but all of these 5 IEMs will set you back $440. And honestly, I think, considering that they all have a different style of tuning and it's all been very well done, I think it would actually be an interesting exercise for those that are a little bit more free of cash to get them all. I mean, dead honest, to get them all, and because you'll be able to cover every single thing, or every single style of tuning that you basically can imagine. Fair enough. It's not something that all of us can do. Only a crazy like me will do something like this. But what I'm just basically trying to say is that KINERA, Queen of Audio, Celest, they have been, contrary to some of the brands which kind of always follow the same style of tuning. I mean, you look at Moondrop's products, it doesn't really matter which one it is, but it's always going to have basically the same style of VDSF tuning, a little bit more here, a little bit less there, but it's always the same kind of thing. You look at SimGod, which I'm a huge fan of SimGod as well, but be it AEI 500, 500 LM, 1000, even the EM6L, they all have the same sort of tuning. Yes, okay, you could argue, no, it's a house sound. Okay, that's valid enough. But over here, like I mentioned, and I'll show it to you just now in the graphs, every single one of them has got a very different tuning style, which is audibly noticeable when you start, playing around and listening to music. Every single one of them has it, and every single one of them has it done well. So there's no real criticism that can be pointed out. Anyway, just running through things here a little bit with more detail, so that you can understand. Phoenixcall, like I mentioned earlier, was known for having this kind of forward presentation that a lot of, well, not a lot, but some people didn't really appreciate. They thought it was overly bright. I particularly find it to be a very interesting listen. So much so, the Dark Phoenix. The Dark Phoenix, if you're able to pick up on it, it's not that you're going to notice a huge difference, no, but you will notice that the bass, especially the lower bass, is got a little bit extra fullness to it, and that little extra fullness to it does then translate into an effect in the mids, upper mids, especially in treble, which makes those part of the frequencies more if the correct word here is sweeter sounding. Okay, it's not a huge difference, but it is noticeable, and you can notice it on things like, for example, let me just give you a quick example. If you take Bonnie James, I'm Gonna Love You Just a Little, you notice it very well. If you take Feeling Good from Knowles again, you'll pick up on what I'm saying. Floating from Christopher Ghost, you'll pick up again on what I'm saying. Not a huge difference. No, let me make that perfectly clear. It's not a huge difference. You could probably EQ this to get what this is doing easily, quite easily. But if you haven't bought either one of them, and if you are lucky and you are looking for that, and you are lucky enough to actually get this at an interesting value, I would definitely say the dark Phoenix would probably be the one that would satisfy, or at least do away with that potential issue of, oh no, it's just a little bit too bright and I don't really appreciate it. Okay, the Vesper, it's got this really neutral tuning, nice mid bass, full mid bass, but the mids and upper mids really laid back, really really relaxed. So what that translates into is a very sibilance free sound, a sound that when you listen to like things like Up and Up from Jeff Ryan, you notice that everything is not aggressive or not in your face. It's a smooth sounding IEM, but it still is able to convey a nice level of detail, a nice level of resolution, considering that it's such a laid back neutral IEM. Obviously this is not going to be an IEM for treble fans, but it is well executed, well built, and it sounds, like I said, it's got a very easy to listen sound, very easy. Gimlet, an IEM that didn't receive much love. Maybe even myself, I didn't give it more attention. Obviously, what I'm about to say is definitely a testament of the shell and how the shell influences an IEM sound. The bass on this thing is very, very good. It is a clean, incisive, it hits you hard, beautiful execution. But that doesn't mean the things which are vocals don't come across nicely. No, they do. They don't get smothered, they don't get overpowered. Perfect from Fairground Attraction, for example. I can't complain. It sounds amazing. It is an IEM that, when you listen to it, if you want to understand what it is, this is not going to be, for example, an Olina. Okay, for those of you that know what the Olina is, no. It doesn't have that sort of cleanliness and detail of the Olina. It doesn't have the sort of cleanliness and detail of, for example, a 500 LM. What it does have is a bass and a mid bass presence, and then the accompanying mids to that mid bass, which kind of gives you vibes of, for example, the origin to a certain extent, the Tenstrom origin. It kind of gives you vibes of, for example, the TKZK Oranos, for those of you that know what that is. It kind of gives you vibes of, even to a certain extent, the EA 500, not the LM, the 500. It's really a very nice sounding IEM, very well built, and $59, I mean, it's not a lot of money. Obviously, it's priced right smack in the middle of, dozens of other IEMs which are very competent, and one of the ones that immediately jumps to mind is the Delci. And if you ask me what I choose, the Delci or this, ultimately I would say the Delci, just because it's got a little bit of extra little detail up top that in some songs that I like listening to, it just complements those songs well. Now, if you have a Gimlet, did you choose badly? No, you didn't. You definitely not. Trust me. And it's an IEM, like I said, that didn't get enough attention when that attention is more than deserved. Next to that, the Plutus Beast. Again, a very kind of warmish type of sound. And that's actually something that, if you forget the Phoenixcall and the Dark Phoenix, these four have all got a, not these four, these three in reality, they've all got a darkest sort of organic type of sound. The Phoenixcall the Phoenixcall and the Vesper, and oh my god, the Phoenixcall on these end and the Pandamon too, they've got a more detailed, brighter type of sound. Although the interesting thing is, when I play songs which these ones, for example, are in their element, which are more darker sounding, it's actually quite interesting to see how well the Phoenixcall and the Pandamon are able to do those songs, while the reverse is not so favorable. When it's more detailed songs, when there's songs that have got a lot of twinklies and sparkles and resolution and layering and so on and so forth, where these two thrive, these three don't do that, in the same capable manner. Anyway, continuing, the Plutus Beast, fantastic IEM, as I was saying, nice organic type of sound. Again, you take things like, for example, I'm Gonna Love You, just a little from Bonnie James, sounds fantastic. But if I take something like Love Over You from Egyptian, that's its element. Love Over You on there is amazing. It sounds really, really good. It sounds truly, truly good. And then finally, the Pandamon 2. Honestly, for a person that really appreciates his vocals, his female vocals, perfect. Personally, me, on one or two songs, I would have liked just a little bit more bass, because in essence, I think the SPD driver being used here in either one of these two, the Pandamon 2 and the Plutus Beast, is the same. So this is not capable of doing that. I think maybe it would have been interesting if in the Pandamon 2 they would have tried to have used some sort of tuning system, maybe with the adjustable nozzles, that would allow for that extra bass if you in fact wanted it. It's become such a common thing now that it would have been a viable alternative to give it that extra little bit amount of bass. Obviously, I'm sure that would have pushed the price up a little bit, but I think that it could have still been done. They could have at least have one tuning, which is what this stock tuning does, and then an alternative nozzle to give it that extra amount of bass. But definitely, I mean, the Pandamon 2 element is vocals, and if you listen to be it Thanks to You by Boss Skaggs, or you listen to It Feels Like Rain from Aaron Neville, or you listen to The Dress by Dijon, or In the Sentimental Mood from Robin Ford, it really sounds good. It's able to bring out those vocals and I mean, Sister from Rochelle Farrell, amazing. It sounds phenomenal on the Pandamon 2. Even though, like I said, I would have liked just a little bit more bass. That is one song that sounds really, really nice. Magnetic Lines from Mali and Boris Blank, again, another song that sounds very, very good. Anyway, guys, this is the gist of it. Any one of these IEMs is a very well executed IEM in its design premise. That's the truth. They're all worth considering if you are looking for specific things. Obviously, if you're more warmer type of sound, more forward type of sound, more detailed, more neutral, bright type of sound. So depending on what you want, these are very viable options. And KINERA never disappoints when it comes to its accessories. They've all got decent enough accessories. They've all got decent enough cables. I mean, all of these, for the exception of the Phoenixcall, they're all using the stock cables. So they've all got decent cables. They've all got decent tips, which I'm again using stock tips on them because they sounded fine. I didn't really find the need to go change, because the difference that it did exist from my KB Euro 7s or from my Divinas into the stock tips was so minor that I really didn't think it justified it. And again, it's a testament that they did their work. They made sure that the tips that they chose were not just generic tips and that's it, and the hell with it, and that people didn't see if they work or not. No, I'm sure they actually went to the trouble of making sure that the tips would be adequate for whatever the IEM was and the tuning that was being pretended. And that's it. Just a little bit more detail here, because I mean, I've had a review on the Vesper 2, on the Gimlet, I've had a review on all of them. Just a little bit more detail here on the Dark Phoenix. As I mentioned, the Dark Phoenix compared to the stock Phoenixcall, it's got a little bit more sub bass, and that sub bass then, or that little extra bass, gives a tonality that just ever so slightly changes the rest of the frequency range. Other than that, it is basically the same thing as the Phoenixcall. I would say that added little bit, added amount of energy that they've given to the bass has also conveyed a more polished feel overall. to the sound in terms of it doesn't, it's not that it was ever sibilant. At least I didn't find the Phoenixcall to ever be sibilant, but on occasions you could hear maybe just a little bit of that metallic tizziness that usually is associated with planars and with BA drivers. And in the dark Phoenix I didn't notice none of that, or if it was present, it was so subdued that I really didn't pick up on it. Again, you know, I might be going deaf, so maybe it's just me that doesn't pick it up, and you guys will. But the truth is, it is a very well executed IEM in terms of its technical capabilities. Basically like the Phoenixcall. It's got, you know, decent sound stage, imaging, detail retrieval. All of those are very well and well within the price that this IEM is worth, and that's it. I mean, the only difficulty here really will be trying to find a unit, because as I said, these were a limited run, but they are beautiful. You can see the face fate is absolutely stunning, and then you can obviously then just get a glimpse as well of what's inside. You can get an idea of the whole structure, because the shell is a smoked translucent shell. Guys, show you another graphs and we'll wrap it up. Hi guys, and welcome now here to the graph section for this let's say Celest Queen of Audio comparison. Let me just start clearing out some graphs so that we can see things better. Okay, this is the graph. This first graph that I'm showing you is the graph for the Gimlet. And as I said, and as I was mentioning earlier, the Gimlet has got that vibe of sound, which you know, the nice, it's a tastefully done mid bass energy here, okay, and it kind of gives you a little bit of that vibe that you get, for example, on like the Tantrum Origin. It's really nicely done. The pin again is a little bit, I mean, it is a strong pin. I'm not going to deny it isn't a strong pin. We're talking about roughly an 11 and almost 12 dB pin again, but because you got this nice energy from the bass coming from behind, it actually the overall result is actually quite moderate and doesn't sound overpowering. Doesn't sound, I mean, yes, okay, fair enough, there's one or two songs that maybe some trumpets, some wind instruments can sound just a little bit overly intense, but nothing that I would consider a deal breaker, especially when you I mean, we're talking $59. It does have some nice extension past 10K, although by looking at this, you maybe might be led to believe that it's got this huge sound stage, and it's got a good sound stage, it does, but it's not as big as what the graph might lead you to believe. Okay, so that's the Gimlet. This next one, yeah, that I'm showing you is the Plutus Beast. This is an effect of the bone conduction. This is using that square planar driver, as I mentioned. I mean, more darker sounding than what again the graph might lead you to believe, although you see that yes, there's a couple of related peak here and it's already dropping, but it is a darker sounding IEM than what the graph might think or might show you. And when you, for example, put the Pandamon 2, and let me just change the color of the Pandamon 2, something that will stand out, like let me make it red. You can see that there are elements here of that same square planar driver. So you can see the way that it rises, the other pin on one and the other, and then the extent. You can see there's elements there, but the truth is that the Pandamon 2 does sound very different. It sounds significantly more open. It doesn't have all that bass from at the end there. I think the Pandamon 2 and in between, as I was mentioning, would have been nice. Just a little bit extra bass there would have been nice. Because on occasions, the Pandamon 2 does come across as being just ever so thin, all right? But it's never a deal breaker. And the interesting thing here is that because, although it doesn't have that massive extension past 10K, it's actually quite interesting to see how way more airy it is capable of being as compared to, for example, the Plutus Beast. But once again, what was intended in terms of the tuning has been well achieved. And it sounds fantastic. I mean, honestly, the Pandamon 2 sounds really good. Is it a huge difference to the original Pandamon? No, it's not. What you basically are getting here is a nicer designed shell, a more mature designed shell, so an IEM that you won't be maybe a little bit shy to wear. And yes, there's a slight little improvement in the overall sound, but it's not a huge difference. I mean, if you guys watch my review, you will see exactly what I'm talking about. So, Pandamon 2, I've shown you. I've shown you the Plutus Beast. I have shown you as well the Gimlet. I need to show you now the Vesper 2. That's the Vesper. I mean, this is, I'm not going to say flat because it's not flat, but you have a pinna gain here of what can I say, a pinna gain of what, let's see, 75 into the upper mids. We have a pinna gain here of, it's not even correct, but let's say 5 dB. So really very smooth, very relaxed, well positioned dip here in the 5K to avoid any sibilance or any harshness. And the interesting thing is, although this part here, between 1.5 and 3 is slightly dipping even more, adding to that, laid back and almost recessed kind of presentation, it doesn't sound like it graphs. It actually sounds significantly more open, and again, even with the amount of bass that you have, because yes, you could say that this, although it doesn't got a huge bass gain, we're talking about 8 dBs of bass gain, roughly 74, about 8 dBs bass gain. It does have a little bit of bleed into the mids, but I don't know, it just comes together very nicely. The whole thing just meshes together nicely, and the Vesper 2 sounds really good. And once again, although it's got this unusual tuning, it works. It's doing it properly. And then finally, the Phoenixcall and the dark Phoenix. The Phoenixcall is this one here. As you can see, it's got that QDC style of mids, early Pina and so on. And then the bass, although it looks like it's got this monstrous amounts of bass, mustn't forget it's a 7mm driver. So being a 7mm driver, it can get away with graphing in one way, and then in terms of sound, it sounds way more modest because that's just the way it is. And that's why I was saying a little bit earlier that although this has got this kind of graph, it sounds very detailed, and there's a lot of Pandamon 2 style of similarities here. Okay, they've got the same sort of extension past 10K. They've got almost the same sort of Pina gain and the way that the upper mids and treble are handled, very similar. And yes, there's a difference, but again, one is a 7mm, one is a 10mm. So they actually are canceling each other out in terms of what is heard. So they have this detailed, more technically capable type of sound as compared to the remainder. And then the Dark Phoenix is this one here. Again, the Dark Phoenix, very similar sounding, as you can see. The differences here are mainly, I wouldn't consider this so much a difference. I would say the differences here are really in the extension, in the sub bass and the mid bass. We're talking about an increase starting off at about 100 hertz. And going all the way down, which it does give that little extra tonality, that little extra harmonic flavor to the rest of the frequency range. And then there's definitely more extension up top here. Both my sets of Phoenixcall, because I've got 2 sets of Phoenixcall graphed in the same way as the one that you see here, so with the extension past 10K being lower. So I'm assuming that's how they actually are, and this is not maybe just my sets that graphed low. And in that chain of thought, then obviously the dark magician does have more extension past 10k, which gives it a little extra amount of spark, a little bit of extra more composed technical capabilities, and that's where this and the Pandamon are in their element. They are technically more capable, more detail retrieval, more imaging, more resolution, more sound stage. That's where they shine. While the other three, the Vesper, the Plutus Beast, and the Gimlet, they shine more, I would say, in the kind of a organic type of sound. So Gimlet, this one, Gimlet, the Plutus Beast, and the Vesper, they've got this kind of more organic type of vibe of sound going. Although, when you're looking at the graph, there's a big difference between the three of them. All right, guys, I hope this was able to give you shed some light to you guys on these products. The moment I get my hands on the Relentless, I will definitely be comparing the Relentless with at least in the very least the Phoenixcall, and that's it. All right, as always, like and subscribe. If there's any questions, please feel free to ask me, and I'll do my best to answer as quickly as possible and as competently as possible. Okay, you take care now. Bye bye.